Hello, everyone. I'm very sorry about that. I think we had a little technical difficulty there just now. If you guys can hear us and see us, and could you send us a little message online? Let us know that you're here, and we're excited to be hearing from you guys. Hello. You're eating the mic. Let's move the mic out of the way. Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Diaz, and welcome to our very first Ask the Expert Q&A. And my special guest today, I'm so excited, is Ryan Hui. And hello, Clementi. Here we go. Clementi says hello. Hello, Clementi. If you can hear us and everything, can you just give us a little thumbs up? Thank you so much. So, as you guys know, every month we're going to be starting this Ask the Expert live Q&A. And Ryan is our very, very first guest out of all of these series. So super excited to have him here. In case for those of you who don't know Ryan or haven't heard his music yet, Ryan is an artist and songwriter who grew up in Hong Kong and San Diego, right? Both of them. He released 3 albums with his punk rock band. And was signed to Substant Recordings International. And he's also released multiple chart-topping singles as a soloist as well. He's toured around the world, performing for sold-out concerts and major festivals. And of course, aside from performing, songwriting, and recording, Ryan is also a talented graphic artist. I tried. And a humanitarian, right? You do a lot of work with organizations such as the Ronald McDonald House, which I know I'm also quite familiar with. And so thank you so much for being here. So just before we dive into the Q&A, this is how it's going to work. This Q&A is going to be set up on... It's going to be split into 2 parts. Part 1 is this. This is the part 1 part. I see you guys on here. If you want to ask questions or post questions, we do see you. And do click on the permission for StreamYard to allow you to add comments, because that way we can see your name. Okay. Feel free to post them. We're checking you guys out too. And then so the first half is to you guys, to the public. Part 2 is going to be exclusive content for our monthly membership members, our Inner Circle monthly members. So between part 1 and part 2, we're going to have a little 5-minute toilet break. And then we're going to jump right back on in to chat with our monthly membership members. So for now, you have us here. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. Congrats. Stoked to be a part of the online academy experience.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we're just, if it's okay to share some of your story and some of your background during this time. I'd love to know, I know you and I have actually very similar backgrounds in a way. We both grew up with music.
Yeah.
We both grew up with parents who are professional musicians who've been performing. We've been around music our whole lives.
Our parents have jammed too.
Our parents have jammed with each other growing up. When was I don't think I know this actually. When was the very first time that you performed for a live audience? And what was that experience like for you?
The first time I actually got on stage was actually the Coliseum with my dad.
Wait. How old were you?
Yeah, it was 87, so I was 11 years old at the time.
Okay.
Before that,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, like
what a debut.
Yeah, it's pretty nerve-wracking.
right on the top there.
Yeah, I was like this big, the guitar was
Wait, tell us about that experience. So a Coliseum, the Hong Kong Coliseum, for those of you who are not from Hong Kong, is one of the main places, the place to perform live. It's been around for so many years, and it's legendary, and that's where you performed for your very first live performance.
It was just under I was right time, right place kind of thing, because my dad has been doing music his whole life, and I grew up around music, and it got to the point where I wanted to learn how to play guitar and jam, and at the time I was really into Back to the Future, like Marty McFly.
Back to the Future? I love that show.
Yeah, so they were playing Johnny Be Good, Michael J. Fox played Johnny Be Good. And so my dad at that time, we were learning Johnny Be Good. And then he had his concert. And so he was like, hey, you finally kind of have it down. Let's just jump on stage and jam it. And that's what happened.
Wait, did he give you notice? Or was he like, hey, come on now?
I had a bit of notice. I think after I learned it, he's like, okay, why don't you come check it out?
Okay.
You know, come jam with us. And
so he was already obviously during that time it was performing, and you've been around.
Yeah.
So you knew kind of what that was.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
right?
I grew up listening to my dad's music or watching him write songs, or music was always in the house, you know. So we'd listen to a lot of Beatles and Elvis, you know, and so Beach Boys. Music was always around. And so within around 86, 87 is when I kind of started actually learning it and paying more attention to playing the guitar first.
I see. Cool. So is this, so I guess, did you always know that you wanted to be a singer-songwriter or something? Or is this something that you discovered later in life? Because you mentioned you performed the first time when you were like 11 and and then later on.
Yeah, we did because at the time my dad did an 87 concert, and then the 89, and then 1990, and then he retired at 92. So I kind of jumped in on each show. I played something different.
Always playing guitar?
Yeah.
And singing as well?
Not yet singing, just playing guitar first. And so like 89 and 87, I played guitar. 1990, I did a Chinese opera song with my grandma and my grandfather.
With the guitar?
Yeah. So it was like a family thing.
That's a fusion of music.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. And then 92, because I went back to the States to study in 1990. Oh. So I was a sophomore in high school. I flew back just to do the 92 retirement shows. So it kind of I just kept popping in. And at the same time, when I was going to school in the States, I got into grunge and, you know, metal and punk rock and stuff, and started kind of going this way and that way. So, yeah. So
did you know that you wanted to, what point did you, was playing music kind of a side thing for you? Or did you always know that I actually want to do this as a career?
I always wanted to do music as a career, but at the time, you know, my mom and dad, they knew that school was really important, you know, and they're like, if you want to play in a band or do music on the side, that's cool too, but you got to get through school, get through college. Yes. And so that's why I ended up going to San Diego for a marketing degree. Oh. So like during the whole time I was in college, I had several punk bands. Yeah. And we started a record label out there in San Diego. We're doing punk shows on the holiday trips, and it was pretty cool. And so I think that gave me at least the education I needed with school and kind of learning how to be more grown up, I guess, in that world. You know, interning with companies and doing marketing, trade shows and all that. But at the same time, during the summer, we'd get in a van with 3 vans and 3 different bands and go tour the West Coast and, you know, sleep on people's floors and do band shows. And it was pretty cool, you know. So
you were already doing tours and band shows with your punk rock band while you were in university? Yeah,
like during the summer or Easter breaks. And so I think during the band phase of my college years, that's when I was like, I really want to do this. And that's when I learned how to start songwriting. Initially, when I was with my dad, it was more playing guitar and just learning the craft. And then when I started going to high school and college, it was more like, you know, I started writing my own songs, and, you know, you get that kind of rush of, hey, I got the song and some people like it and it's pretty cool. And, you know, that's when I was more, not just musician, but more like songwriter kind of mindset.
So when you were going to university for a marketing degree, but in your heart, in your mind, you're like, I'm going to be in music.
Actually, I wanted to go to a music school right away, like Guitar Institute, MI in the States, but you know.
Oh, Musicians Institute.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was up in LA too, and so, but they're like, just get, you know, business degree first. Just, you know, have a plan B.
Have some kind of plan B. Isn't that always a thing?
Yeah. So why
can't music be a plan A?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So like. Actually, I started off as a music major in San Diego, but it was more classical based.
I see. And more traditional.
Yeah. And cool. I was a music major for about a semester, but then I was like, I want to rock out. So I decided to go into marketing there, but then put music into the other extracurricular stuff, you know, where we could do punk rock shows and, you know,
And then finally, when you graduated, just like, hey, I'm all in for music now.
Like we started, because at the time we were doing music, and we tried our own record label for a while too. Okay. We were making flyers, doing shows, doing CDs.
Very, very indie.
Yeah, real indie DIY. You know, we'd book shows up
the way to do it, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I mean, it's during that time when you're got band and you're, you know, doing music like that, where you really, really realize it's about the music. You know, because we were playing shows where people didn't know us. We'd show up. Yeah. There'd be 5 people there. Next show there'd be 200 people there. Next show there'd be 3 people. It's just. That adventure was kind of the fun of it, because we're like, as long as we get to play, you know. and it was a great experience. And that's when I really knew that music was forever in my life. And at the time too, my dad was retired, so there was no like, oh, I could go back to Hong Kong and do music. That was kind of
done.
Yeah, there was no that. It was always just I'm gonna do my punk rock thing. My dad retired in '92, and that's my thing. And then it just so ended up he came back out in 2004.
Can I ask about that though?
Yeah.
I mean, you were into punk rock.
Yeah.
What did your dad think about that? his music, for those who don't know, his music is definitely not punk rock.
Yeah, my dad's more pop, and he likes ballads too.
Yeah.
But he was always stoked on what I listened to. Like when I was still in Hong Kong in Form 2, Form 3, I got into my heavy metal phase. So I was listening
you have the long hair? I
started to have long hair, yeah. I was into Megadeth and early Metallica and all Iron Maiden, all that stuff. And my dad's like, it's okay. Like I'd ask him to show me how to go, because I couldn't play it, but I'd give my dad a Megadeth CD. Can you help me, learn the song?
Figure out the chords.
Yeah, like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, all those really, fast guys.
What did he think when he listened to that stuff?
He was cool with it. It wasn't his favorite, but he let me play it in the car. So he was accepting of it, because he knew I was kind of following my own little direction.
Yeah.
And so I started kind of veering off to the metal and punk thing. And then when I got to the States, it was more grunge and punk. So he was always really supportive of the stuff we did. What else? Yeah. And so he enjoyed it, and then it was in 2004 while we were still doing that stuff. He was like, hey, I want to come back out of retirement. At the time it was SARS,
Yeah.
So he wanted to come out and do shows. Yeah. So initially I was still in San Diego. I was doing some marketing stuff and then graphic design freelance work. And we were actually playing coffee shops and doing punk shows. So it was a fun time for me and my friends. And then he was like, hey, we're doing the Coliseum again. Why don't you come back for a few shows? So I came back to help. But then at the time, it was a big deal that my dad came back out of retirement.
Yeah.
So the first 20 shows sold out, and another 20 shows. And
yeah,
another
that was
20.
Huge,
it kept going.
I remember that.
Yeah, we ended up
huge.
doing 120, I think, or some ridiculous, really high number. And then after that, it was like, oh, they want to go to Malaysia. They want to go, we started touring. So we ended up kind of slowly, we came back. But it wasn't initially, that wasn't, it just naturally
kind of happened that way with the timing and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know, because I think that when you're learning, I think it's one thing to train and whatnot, but it's also another thing to put what you're learning into practice, like or learn on the job, so to speak, or learn while you're performing. So you did a lot of smaller gigs, and you've done, like you said, you did gigs in front of 3 people, and then 200 people, and then 5 people. And
we did gigs in front of nobody one time.
My God.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Did you still perform?
Yeah, we it's funny. We played this bar in San Diego. Nobody knew us at the time, and we had to be 21 to get in the bar. But most of us were under 21, so we could go in as a band.
But you couldn't drink, and
we couldn't drink or do anything. And our friends, like our girlfriends at the time, couldn't go in either. So we played for nobody except for the bartender, while our girlfriend stood outside the bar watching us through the window.
What?
And we were like, okay. But
how many songs did you play?
We still played like 45 minutes.
Okay, you know what,
like a
though?
band practice.
I respect that, though, because what do you do? Like, oh, there's no one here. It's not a song, whatever. You have a stage. Use it. Use that time, right?
Yeah.
But
it was fun.
What was that difference for you in terms of what was that experience for you? Smaller shows, or some cases 0 people in front, versus
I'm used to that.
Versus like Coliseum, 120 sold out shows touring around the world. Like, what was that experience side by side for you?
I like them both. They both have different meanings. For me, within my music, I'm more of a club indie band level, whereas my dad's like stadium filler, and I like both worlds in different senses. Like I like the intimacy of having a club show and you're upfront with people.
You can see them.
Yeah, you can see people. You're right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of I like that punk rock, sweaty room vibe, or even coffee shop. You did a lot of coffee shops, and I love that, just the chillness.
Did you ever crowd surf?
Yeah, I've done it. Not in my shows, but like other people's shows I have.
Okay.
But it's
Can't
fun.
do that in the Coliseum.
No. I did it. Yeah. Star Hall we've done it before, but
Star Hall's different. Coliseum.
Yeah, Coliseum
dangerous. There's too many bars.
Yeah, it's like you're far away from the people and you have the screen.
You usually have to run.
Yeah. There's a gap. You gotta clear the gap. Yeah. And people might just watch you fall.
They won't catch you. They'll go to the part to the side.
It's different. It's a different vibe.
Totally different.
But it's a cool experience too to be on a big stage, because seeing the production, like my dad's shows, you have like a 12-person band and you have dancers, you have the lights. It's whole production, it's a whole crew, and everybody's working together to have a good experience. So that's
really cool.
Yeah, the family of that is pretty awesome, and getting to travel and experience those things, or reaching those kinds of people and that kind of a stadium is pretty awesome. So I appreciate both, the smaller venue and the bigger one. And it's just for me, it's just about playing music and expressing yourself. So you got to be able to be flexible and have fun any situation.
Yeah. I remember watching your dad at the Coliseum.
Oh yeah.
I remember those times. I was really little, but I do remember that. And it's funny that when you're saying all of these things, I'm reminded of that experience too, because my mom especially and her sisters performed a lot in the Coliseum.
Yeah. Your family. Yeah.
And so just to see behind the scenes and I mean, even going there now to the Coliseum brings back a lot of memories for me as a kid growing up. And then, I love the behind the scenes, and everybody has their part to play.
Yeah. Like
even
the
feeling is different.
Coliseum shows, I don't like sitting in the crowd. Like when I go see my friends at the Coliseum, I'm always like, I'll come hang backstage, because I like being backstage. I like watching. I
totally do too.
Yeah, I like watching everybody on stage and seeing the backstage person, everybody like on the mics and everybody getting ready. Like
I love sitting by the panel.
Yeah. So every time people ask me to go to their shows, I'd say, can I watch backstage first?
Yeah.
If there isn't backstage, then I'm watching the crowd. But I like feeling like you're part of that experience, and that's what Coliseum's awesome for.
So, what has been the highlight of your career so far?
Let's see. There's a bunch of different highlights, I guess, for me. Because obviously I have my own music and my own way of expressing myself, and then I also have doing stuff with my dad, which is awesome. So I guess for my own stuff, it's just putting out music, playing shows with bands I love, and artists I appreciate, and just working with cool people. I get to work with you guys. I get to work with a lot of really cool drummers and guitarists and bass players and singers. It's collaborating is pretty awesome, and that makes it fun. And also like just playing music and to see somebody be stoked on your song.
Yeah.
If somebody's like, I like this song or I like that song, or they go to a show and they're excited, that that makes you happy.
That's cool. It's been, especially when it's the songs that you've written, right? Like that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you've written it and you've seen it from idea to creation to performing, and then someone has received it, listened to it, learned it, and it's like singing it at your concert. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because like
awesome.
Like as an artist, you understand that too, like that your melody or your lyrics are all from in here, and then if somebody outside is like, oh, that's cool, that's already big victory and a big boost, you're like, yes, this is awesome. Nobody likes it, that's cool too, but part of it is also.
And I think that's what makes it amazing, is that you can't, like you said, it just started off like with a couple of melodies as an idea, translated to something real that is communicated to somebody you don't even know. Oftentimes, right? People that you don't know at all. And that is such a unique way of communicating with them, and you're sharing part of you with them, and when they respond, they're sharing part of them with you.
So that's the awesome part, when you get a bit of that, like somebody likes the song or this melody or the show, it's like, oh, that's awesome, and so that's one of the highlights. And another highlight would be playing with my dad and experiencing like his songs. He wrote his songs and he did his things, but seeing people's reaction to those songs is pretty
there's
awesome.
so much history with your dad's songs, right?
Like it's cool.
There's
like
so many stories.
It makes me proud, to see his songs, or somebody who could write something that affects so many people in a positive way, and then be able to travel around, like the world to do this. It's not easy. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I've seen a lot of people come and go, and it's not easy, but it's it's pretty cool to see people just share music and have a good time, because life is always, life could have ups and downs, but when you go to a show, you just want to have fun and experience something happy, and so being able to, play some songs here, make somebody happy that's awesome, the best part. So,
and your dad's music really defined its own genre in a way, right? It's kind of the start of cantopop, wasn't it?
So it's that's a really cool. That's a special thing. It's a monumental thing. So Yeah, that makes me happy. So that's why I'm always cool. If I'm playing my own shows or playing his shows, it's like, as long as we're doing something, trying to be positive out there.
Yeah, I love that. So what would you say has been one of the biggest challenges that you faced as an artist or in your career? Because it's not always, joy and rainbows, right?
For me, let's see. I think in my path, when I came back to Hong Kong, the hardest thing was still a lot of people are like, oh, you should sound like your dad, or you should be Sam Hui style, because if you compare my music to my dad's, it's totally different. I'm more rock and more punk. He's more melodic and more canto with his styles, which is fine. But a lot of people, I think even some of my favorite artists like Sean Lennon or Julian Lennon, you just get compared to the second generation.
Yes.
So for me, the difficult part was yeah. So for me, it's always been like just showing people I have my own thing.
Breaking out of that.
Yeah, breaking out of that and doing your own thing.
And I think it's also, it's true. Like if you're people have expectations, right? If they know, oh, you're Sam's son. They have expectations, and and it's hard to define that your own style in that way, right? So
it's
break out of that.
Yeah, so it's always like in the States when I did my punk shows or punk bands or whatever, nobody
knows you.
It's just whatever. It was actually when I came back here, it made it a little harder. So it made me want to push harder to kind of do my own thing, do my own music. I'll still play with Sam and do his songs, but like for my own stuff, it's like, I kind of push myself to be a little more different with what I do.
So I want to talk a little bit about that, because I know that for a while you were performing songs when you first came in Hong Kong anyway, as a soloist. You came out with some Cantonese songs.
And then
we
did more Cantonese,
later on, right, you made the switch to sing pretty much all in English. Is that right?
Like in the beginning, I came back in 2005. So at the time in 2005, there's less punk rock type music out there. And when I started working with my friend Ngai Sam, he's a producer out here, we thought it would be good to just kind of introduce myself in more of a canto lyric setting, because at the time there wasn't too many people singing English songs either. And so we're like,
which is odd to me, because Hong Kong started off everyone singing English songs back in the day, right?
And so like everybody I talk to, I'm like, oh, I'm putting out a new song, Oh, who's going to write your lyrics? It was assumed that it was going to be in Cantonese. So at the time we were like, oh, okay, let's try it. So we had some friends like, that I did the English lyrics,
and then had somebody
had some people write Cantonese songs for me. And my Cantonese is Ho Guai Zai, Ho Do Guai Zai Yum,
which means for those who don't speak Cantonese and are watching this, means very
foreign accent.
Very foreign accent.
Yeah. I sound like a foreigner singing Cantonese. And so it was harder for me at the time. It still is hard. I mean, we work together. It's not as natural for me to sing in Cantonese as in English. So
Cantonese is hard.
Yeah, period. It's really hard.
Even for native Cantonese speakers. Cantonese in itself is a hard language to sing.
It's challenging for me, especially I can't read it, so I have to ping yum. And so it's a harder step for me. But initially I did more Cantonese and then a few English songs. And then after a while, when we had the kids, I kind of took a break for a while because I had twin boys and kind of stopped for a bit.
Yeah, one would need to stop.
Yeah.
So have twins.
So then when I came back out, I started doing music under the Stay Up, my band project name.
Yeah.
I just decided to keep it more English for now.
Yeah.
I might do another Cantonese song later, but I feel that writing my own lyrics and singing my own lyrics is kind of more authentic to me as opposed to somebody reinterpreting them for me, because I think a lot of people know who I am and my personality. So when I found somebody to write my lyrics that didn't sound like me writing it, it comes across as noticeably
it's like, oh, distance.
It's like, right? Ryan, you wouldn't talk like this in Cantonese or English, but then you're singing it like you're, a 16-year-old, out of love person, like
I totally know.
So it didn't match me, and so it's hard enough for me to express myself with my music and kind of put things out there, but it's even harder if my lyrics are kind of missing the mark, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, if I find the right lyricist for me to work with, that we could kind of match, the mindset, and it looks like, oh, Ryan would sing this, or Ryan's attitude matches this, then I don't mind trying again. But it's
call out there to all lyricists. Send in your work.
So it's a challenge, but it's it's fun. I mean, right now when I sing Cantonese, it's mostly with my dad with his stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and I enjoy that. I grew up listening to those songs. So, yeah, it's just about balance.
I think that's the thing, though, is that whether you're singing covers or whether you're singing your own songs, is that sense of authenticity. There are some songs that I will practice just because they're vocally challenging for me, but I wouldn't sing or perform because I just don't feel a connection with that song or with the lyrics or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that as you know, when you're learning to sing, that is important part to think about too. There's songs for practicing, and then there's songs that resonate with you. And many of the songs that really resonate with me aren't necessarily vocally challenging, but it doesn't make it any, less worthy to perform. And in fact, I think that's the most important thing is learning to find that authenticity. And that's what people, I think, they feel that they can sense the authenticity or not, right?
Yeah. So I think for me, that's why I kind of, after having a little bit of a break with the kids and then redoing more music, I wanted to have a bit more authenticity. And I feel at this moment, until I could get better at Cantonese or I find somebody that can match me lyrically.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why it's been more English now. But I could do some Cantonese ones later.
So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about performing live. I think sometimes a lot of people, they see professional performers on stage and they think that, they're different. They're born confident or they're born talented or, they were, their parents are blah, 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 right? Whatever. But I think what they don't realize is that for every performance that goes well, there's just as many or more performances that totally flop or fail or things that go wrong. So do you have a story in mind that you have where a performance just did not go well?
I have a lot of performances that don't go well.
Can you share with us?
I'm more trying to get to the ones that work less than the ones that don't.
Well, thanks for your honesty. Me too, actually.
I think for me, it's always, how do you say? I mean, everybody has goods and bad days. I try to be a better, have more good days and bads, obviously. But sometimes, you just got to keep working at it and keep pushing yourself.
Tell us about something.
I mean, I have stories of like, missing notes or singing the wrong key or, because I can't hear out of my right ear. So I have to use the ear mons a lot of times.
Right.
So sometimes if the ear mon's off, it's still harder for me to match things up.
Yeah.
So part of it is, it's trying not to get too hard on yourself too, but just, next time try and do better.
Yeah.
And that only comes with more experience, so that's why I think a good way to do better is to keep doing as many shows as you can. Like we did, 5 people, no people, 100 people, 2,000, we just kept doing it, even till now, I'm always trying to do better than the last time. And, like I've had shows where, I'm totally off key and then I get yelled at later. And, then all I could do is, okay, I came to you for lessons and I keep going, keep pushing, because, I mean, there are people that naturally sing really well, but then there's a lot of people, majority of people have to work at it,
Yeah.
And I'm definitely one of the people that have to work at it and, like
I'm the same.
Keep pushing.
100%,
Yeah. So,
100%.
And especially if you're talking about performing live, you're singing, you're entertaining. Some people,
there's so many things that could go wrong as well, right?
Yeah, like for me, it's like if you're singing, like maybe you're practicing at home and you're singing and you're like 100%. I'm really good. When you're on stage, you're always down to at least 70 because you're nervous.
70, like 70%, right, of what you can do.
There's 70%. I think like there's 70% of like there's 30% lost because you're nervous or the sound goes off here or somebody's waving at you here and you're like, oh, distracted.
Or the ear monitor.
The ear monitor sucks or something happens with the sound or so there's all these things that could kind of bring your 100% at home down. So my thing is I'm always trying to keep going. So I'm try and get to 100 as close as possible. Like if you're nervous on stage, try and get yourself to calm down. If you're having trouble with your ear mon, try and adjust your ear pack. Or if you're if you're getting distracted over here, try and bring yourself back into your little world, so I think there's always room for improvement.
Absolutely.
No matter how good you are. And a lot of big artists would say the same thing.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing. One thing though, I like how you put it, there's always that 30% discount, right? Whenever when you're performing live, because things happen that's out of your control. But I think also it's important to know to always want to get better and know how you can improve and have strategies behind that and everything. But also, let's not discount that 70%. Right?
Yeah.
70% is really good. Right?
Yeah, like, I mean,
70% of that performance was awesome, was killer. Let's not discount that.
Yeah,
right?
so that's what I try to use to push myself to be, like, I mean, I'm only saying 70, like, for me, if I get nervous, I'm like, oh man, I feel like, I'm coming in a little low.
Yeah.
But then after that first song, you kind of get more confidence. You kind of lock in and you're like,
I totally know
you
what you're
jam
saying.
and
Yeah.
like, then throughout the show you could get close to that 100. Sometimes you hit that 100.
Yeah.
And you're like floating on cloud 9.
Yeah.
You're like,
it's like a moment. Sometimes like, oh my God, everything is working.
You come off the stage and everyone's like, oh, it's awesome. Like, that's what you try to aim for.
Even if it's just fleeting.
Yeah. So that's what pushes you to go back home or come to vocal training and get better. So next time you're not at 70%, you're maybe coming in at 85%. The next time you have more confidence coming in at 90. And then, a lot of good players could just, I just like Beyonce or these people, they say they click. I've seen my dad do that. Where
what do you mean they click?
They're before they go on stage, they're kind of, they're like Beyonce says, she goes into Bay, or what's her name?
Oh,
she has her name.
I know.
She has a different name, like Sasha.
Yes.
She goes to Sasha Fierce. Beyonce's like, she's like Beyonce backstage, her mother and, her husband and, doing her thing. But before she goes on stage, she goes into, I'm Sasha Fierce or whatever.
Yeah.
And then,
the persona.
Boom.
With that focus.
Yeah. And I've seen my dad do it. I've seen a lot of artists be able to click. They just go in that mode. I have trouble going into that sometimes. And so I'm always trying to be like,
would you say that that's something that's, I don't know. I mean, is that something that's natural or something that you can learn to do, like a muscle?
I think it's something you can learn. Some people do it naturally too, but I think a lot of it's just, you got to learn how to quiet the noise and boom, like kind of like with tennis, whatever, like
just like,
you get nervous,
exactly. I was going to say the same thing. It's exactly like runners or athletes. They get into that performance mindset and that focus. They just focus on that goal.
Yeah, you got to turn out the crowd and just go like boom,
and that's when you have to rely on your technique, and that's why that preparation is so important, because you don't want to be on stage or like performing or doing a live or even just performing on your own YouTube channel or whatever, and then be worried and be thinking about your technique. At that point, I mean, ideally, you want to have that already built in your system, so that you can just focus on.
Well, that's one reason I came to you guys, because when I was playing in the States, we just did punk rock bands. My dad doesn't have any singing technique that he learned. He just sings from experience.
Yeah.
And so when I started doing it, I just started doing it too. And I was like, singing from the throat and singing punk rock songs, and I was wearing out my throat, and I wasn't projecting, like this too. So the whole time I was in college and high school, I was singing in loud bands, not projecting, screaming out my voice, losing my voice at the end of the show, singing totally wrong technique and everything. So which made me pitchy or would make my throat hurt. And so, my 70% was like even lower because it wasn't on the right technique.
Right.
And so that's why when I came back to Hong Kong, I started getting help with you guys and started to learn how to get my technique. So when you get nervous on stage, at least, my technique, I'm projecting, I'm doing better.
To rely on,
that's how you can prepare for that loss of nervousness or anything else. You got to practice, know your music, know where you're going to go, know that you're singing right, and then you could start going that way.
Exactly.
So I had to relearn to sing when I came back, on top of singing in Cantonese.
So many things.
But that's part of the journey, and I'm thankful I did that. And so now when I sing, I don't lose my voice and I can project, because when I first initially came back, a lot of sound people were like, we can't hear you, sing louder. And I'm like, my voice is gone already.
That's the worst thing. You're just like, I'm just going to push more volume out.
I'm going from here as opposed to here.
Yeah.
And so that's also, that was my journey as far as, if I had sung better then and learned the right technique, instead of just belching like that, it would have saved my voice, and, I could be even better now.
But that's the thing. That's part of learning, and like you said, I mean, I used to be also, I would get so hung up on, I would be able to practice, I'd be able to execute stuff easily on stage, and like notes off stage, and then I get on stage, just something happen, or nervous, you just get slightly distracted, and then you don't pull it off quite as well. And for me, I'm like, I get so hard on myself, but then I realize, what, that is part of a learning journey. That is part of how you get better. And you can't expect yourself every single time to go on stage to be like 100%. And nor should you, because if you're hung up on like, oh my God, I have to be perfect, then you're not paying attention to the music. You're not actually paying attention to the audience and people who are there.
Yeah.
Which is, people will feel that.
Yeah. It's also like sometimes if you do an album and you do a song, it's too produced.
Yes.
It sounds robotic.
Yeah.
But if there's some ups and downs, like you listen to early Beatles, there's little mistakes.
There's mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's mistakes
those.
is what makes it good.
So
it's
real.
not robotic where it's all auto-tuned. So
Absolutely.
it's like, but that all comes with experience. That's all. That's why play as much as you can. Play for 5 people, 2 people. Play for your cat, your dog, whatever.
Yes,
and then,
definitely.
Just do. It's just you got to keep doing it.
Play for your cat and your dog.
Yeah, I play for my.
So we have to wrap up now, unfortunately, because we have a second. We still have a part 2. So those of you who are in our monthly membership program, our Inner Circle members, we're going to take a quick little break, and we're going to jump right back into our Facebook group, and I'm going to answer your questions and also do some live reviews of your performances as well. So stick around and hang out in the group, and we'll be back. But before we wrap up here, where can people find you and to learn more about your work and keep up to date with you?
I use Instagram a lot, Instagram and Facebook.
So how can they find you there?
So my Instagram name is The Stay Up.
The Stay Up.
Yeah, like stay up at night.
Just real quick, can you tell us why? Where did that come from, that name? I was always wanted to know.
Oh, I got it from a lyric from a band that I like. You guys could look for it, I guess. But I like the name The Stay Up because at the time, where I was writing music late at night and like online and stuff. So it's like I just like the name The Stay Up. And I also did it after I came back out having my kids, because in the States when I played band shows, I always had a name for my music, like Callbox Serenade or 1 Foot Forward. I always had band names. In the US, it's really common.
Yes.
I feel weird saying I'm Ryan Hui on a t-shirt. I just feel weird saying that. So I always had a music name. Like Madonna has Madonna, or Sia has Sia. Or, it's real common. Everybody has a Bob Dylan has Bob Dylan or David Bowie. They all have their music names. Icon name. And so when I came back initially, I didn't have one because we were kind of just off the boat, just kind of, okay, let's do it as Ryan Hui. But it always felt weird making Ryan Hui t-shirts. And so after we had a break and I was like, okay, I really want to focus more on just, writing my own lyrics and doing all this. I'm going to put a project name on it, The Stay Up. And so that's my project name on Facebook or Instagram, The Stay Up.
Okay, so The Stay Up, THESTAYUP, right?
Yeah, The Stay Up, or I think on Facebook it's Ryan Hui Music or The Stay Up. If you Google Ryan Hui or The
You'll
Stay
find
Up
it
on Facebook.
And we'll also post it in the comments afterwards.
Yeah, so you can find me there.
Thank you so much. You shared so many stories. Thank you so much. I hope you guys also liked it too. And The Stay Up. So I'm just going to actually quickly run through here. Solera, yes. It's not Stay Up. It's The Stay Up.
THESTAYUP. Yeah,
yes. And Solera, you also said, I learned a lot already. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
Solera is in our Inner Circle.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
keep playing, keep practicing your music.
And Jasmine says she loves you.
Oh, me too.
Support. Yes, Jasmine says she's watched your online shows.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
And Sam and Ryan are quite enthusiastic. But Jasmine, thank you, Jasmine. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Shafeen says, here, Hong Kong Coliseum used to be the only real place artists would perform. You're so right. That's absolutely true. Hello, and I see you, Hackin. Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, we'll be on the Facebook group, our private Facebook group, in about 2 minutes from now, and we'll see you there. Thanks all, everybody. See you again next month for the next Ask the Expert with another surprise guest.
Ooh.
See you guys.